Okay, I hope you've gotten that confirmed in your mind that there are only two ideas that we can live by spiritually, morally, in any social development by human beings. The idea of all things made are good and made by God, and the idea of some things made are evil or not made by God. Originally, God had Adam and Eve living under the influence of the idea that he was making all things. And then, when Adam and Eve began to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they began to say that some things made are evil, are not made by God. That's when they were separated from God. They became spiritually dead because they were separated from the force that's making all things. They were saying that somehow they were autonomous, that some things are not of God. So see, that's when they died, spiritually. And we're still living on that idea today. Some things made evil are not made by God. So we are spiritually dead. God is not with us spiritually because we're separated from him. But God, we begin to see how God has been using those ideas. That's why we need to get that confirmed in our mind that there are only two ideas that we can live by morally. Then we can sit down and start realizing what God has been doing with those two ideas. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, see, God is using those ideas to carry out a development on the planet that will lead to the establishment of his kingdom on earth. The kingdom of heaven on earth. That's what it's all about. But you see, we'll see as we go along that the material part of the planet got to develop first. And see, that's what Adam and Eve did. That's why God used that idea. When they ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, they set the pace for moving towards the build-up of the physical aspects of the planet that would serve as its kingdom, the physical aspect. You see, now, when you accept this idea of something made of evil or not made by God, that idea gives rise to the autonomous self. So if some things are not made by God, I can imagine, it's possible for me to imagine, that I'm autonomous. Because some things are made by God, so maybe I'm not made by God, It's a possibility that I can be autonomous. If you say some things are not made by God. So, and the autonomous self, he has been serving as the active force in this movement toward the build of material aspects of the planet. Because see, he always want to be on top. That's not a brag, it's just a fact. It's impossible for the autonomous self to want less for himself. He can't do it, it's impossible. So then Adam and Eve begin to apply the good and evil phenomenon to their social development. If you could run fast, then you were good, But if you were slow and couldn't run fast, then you were evil, you were weak. And it's been going on that way all the way, If you had a lot of fruits you got from the tree, if you could climb good, get fruit from the tree, then you were good. But if you were deformed in some way and couldn't get the fruit, then you were evil, weak. So that's how it's been going on all the time. But you see, and it's going on right now in the industry. Say for instance, the automobile industry. The corporation Ford would come up with a product, you go in this car, that make everybody want the car. See, not only can the individual be autonomous, but each corporation that exists within the industry is autonomous. Ford is autonomous. General Motors is autonomous. So when Ford come up with something, then he's gonna get all the glorification, recognition, and sales. Then General Motors will come up with something better. You see, he had a fancy hood to his car, something better. Then people come back to General Motors. Get them. See, the autonomous self is trying to stay on top. That's all they can do. But that has been spearheading the movement towards build-up of the material aspect of the planet. And it's been doing it. Because see, every time a new product come out, say Ford get a better product, then the world will get a better product. And this is going on in all the industries. The medical industry, somebody come up with a vaccine that would cure something, and somebody come up with a better vaccine, then they'll go to that person, But we get better medicine, you see. So that's how Babylon has been moving. God has been using it. But we have been separated from God. We've been under the autonomous self. We'll talk a little bit more, a lot more about that, and we begin to see how God has been using. This is just one of the ideas. We just go into how he's been using the idea, all things made good and made by God as well. Now, if you got friends that want to catch up on this, this is a whole new field of study that God has given me to give you. So it's on a natural that you don't understand. I mean, how can you? You haven't been exposed to the information. So you got to come in at the ABC level and get a hold of what I'm saying. And you will see, it's very interesting what God is doing. It's just fantastic what God is doing.